The jury has reached a partial verdict in the Sean Diddy Combs federal sex trafficking trial.
This is another explosive moment in the courtroom during this 2-month-long trial. Jurors announcing this afternoon that they were unable to reach a unanimous decision on count one, the most serious charge in this case, racketeering conspiracy. Jurors sent back a note just before 4:30 local time this afternoon to let the court know that they had reached a verdict on counts 2 through 5, but could not reach a unanimous decision on count one. Again, the most serious charge in this case.
Can we talk, Will, about the fight between Amy Coney Barrett and Ketanji Brown Jackson who dissented, Ketanji Brown Jackson, in the nationwide injunctions case? I thought it was smart that they had Coney Barrett write the majority opinion. She hasn't written that many. She's becoming kind of, well, loathed by many on the right for siding with the libs. And I think it was probably no accident that Robert said, why don't you take this one and restore some of your good order, possibly with the right? And it wasn't just that she sided with the 6 conservatives to uphold Trump's right to do this, at least for now, to not be subjected to nationwide injunctions. But it's now pitted her against a very unpopular member of the Supreme Court with the right. And those two went at it.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Are we good? Let's see. Let me make sure I can see everything. How is everybody doing today? I know it's not Monday. It is Tuesday. Okay, thanks. Jesus loves you. Y'all bear with me. The menopause, the perimenopause is perimenopausing today. You know, sometimes it just makes my mood just like bleh, and I'm having one of those days. So if my energy is not typical, that's why. It's just one of those things. But I'm making it through. The day's almost over. And we're going to start over again tomorrow. I'm just trying to make it through this without tearing up. And let's move on. So, yes, Jesus loves you. Tuesday Night Lights. Yes, everybody, please like, share, and subscribe if you have not subscribed already. Thank you, Jesus loves you, for moderating. Hey, my lady B, my favorite. You get it. Then yes. I actually have a personal story with Diddy. There's this content creator that I watch, and the way he says his name, it's so funny. He's like, Diddy. But I have a personal story with Diddy. Do you guys want to hear? Do y'all want to hear my personal story? Okay, so y'all know, if you've been watching me for some time, I used to be in the music industry, and I was doing pretty well. Moved to Connecticut when I was, my family moved to Connecticut. I can't even talk. To Connecticut when I was 13. And I immediately started like going to New York and auditioning and things like that. I wanted to be a singer. And so this was, my opportunity. And the very first audition I went on, I booked not only me, but my sister and my mom. So my whole family is singers or musicians. Like, we all can sing. Miss Lady B, yes, do tell. I'll tell you up front. So you're not waiting, you're not in suspense. I've never been to a Diddy party. Okay. I've never been to a Diddy party, never even heard about them, didn't even know that those things were happening back then. So this was probably around 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, like like early 2000s. Hey, Paul. And so, I can sing, and back then I had the cute little shape, and I guess not too bad on the eyes. And so I was booking auditions, I was doing my thing. ended up getting offered a record deal, all that stuff. Didn't take the deal. Anyway, I met I met Eddie Charlie Murphy. Y'all know Charlie Murphy. That's Eddie Murphy's brother. He is now deceased, but his son, Charlie Murphy's son. I was at a magazine party launch. I don't know, something somebody had told me about, and I was there. And this guy like comes up to me, starts talking, and then he tells me who he is. And when you live in New York for a little while, like everybody says that they're somebody, everybody's trying to be somebody, everybody's, I'm such and such. So it's kind of like, okay, like it's not real. You get to a point where you're not pressed, because you're around. If you're in that, it's a small group. And if you're at this time, I had kind of got my toe in at Sony. So I was Sony Def Jam. I was doing some writing with Sony, and then working with some Def Jam people. And yeah, so you're around celebrities, see them all the time. A lot of them are not, they're not very nice, or just they're just not. It's a lot. But anyway, so he comes up to me, I could tell he was, trying to get my number and all that stuff. And so we exchanged numbers, and he invites me to another party, and I get there. This is like I think it was like another day. I go there, but something happened and he can't go. So anyway, so I go. I end up seeing, this is funny. I end up seeing two of my friends. One of them was actually in my wedding. So, and we're like, what in the world? Like, why are you here? And so we go in, and Jay-Z was there. Damon Dash was there. I remember seeing him there. Who else did I see? I feel like I saw Aaliyah. Now, I forget what year she passed away. Somebody let me know what year Aaliyah passed. I'm trying to see if my memory is like failing me, or because I feel like I remember seeing Aaliyah, because I thought I remembered seeing Jay-Z dancing with her. And I was like, because she was dating Damon Dash at the time. I think if my memory serves me correctly. Oh, in 2001. Could have been. I don't know. Anyway, Jay-Z was dancing with someone that made me think like, why is he dancing with her? Like, I just remember that. Anyway, so I can't ever remember how it happened. So one of the girls that was there, one of our other friends, she's very, very beautiful. She did some modeling and stuff like that. And she had done some videos and stuff. Actually, I have a Kanye story, a behind the scenes Kanye story too, with the same three ladies. That is, Kanye been crazy for a long time. But anyway, so I don't know how it happens, but we all end up like by the time the night starts wrapping up, like we're all kind of scrambling around. Anyway, it ends up being me and my two friends, Puff, and his whole like entourage. So we're all in his SUVs, like there's like a fleet, and we're in like one of the what do you call it? What do you call it? Like when it's like processional? I don't know. Anyway, it was like a like 3 or 4 the blacked out Suburbans, and we're going through New York City and these, blacked out Suburbans, and the security guard is like sitting. I mean, these guys, they don't say anything. They're just like straight ahead, and they're like, they don't know nothing. They don't say, they're not talking nothing. Anyway, so we first go out to dinner, and Puff is at like the head of the table, and there's like models, and I don't know any of these people. I know it was me and my two friends. Those are all the people I knew. Of course, obviously I knew Puff, but nobody else was like public events. But you could tell that the women there were legit supermodels. They just had the look, the look. Like just sitting there, like they're completely bored and just picking at their food. It was It was a trip. It was funny. So, we're just eating and everything. And he was, Puppy, he was very generous. He's like, oh, you guys, order whatever you want, get, food was delicious. It was a really nice restaurant. I wish I could remember the name, but I don't. So then after we have dinner, then we go to this club. And I remember, and so, we're all with him. So, we just walk in. And so Puff is standing next to me, and he stands up, and he's standing on top of the couches. Like, we're in the VIP section. He's standing on top of the couches in the club. And I'm thinking to myself, you just got off of, like, I think he had just had that the Jennifer Lopez trial, or I don't know, he's been in and out of trials and stuff. One of the trials that he had just gotten off. I was just thinking, like, you literally just got off of, like, your life was spared. You're not in jail, and here you are, like, doing the most, standing up on the couches at the club. Anyway, whatever. So after that, I think we just, somehow we ended up getting back to my friend's car, and then because I took the train. Like, I was living in New York, they were living in Connecticut still, so I took the train and took the train into New York. And I'm sorry, what am I saying? I took the subway to that party at the beginning, and then my friends, we just hopped in her car, and that was it. But that's my Puff story. So he was generous, but he was a butthole at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. How you can be both at the same time. Is everything good? I feel like I'm not seeing, I don't know. I don't see any comments. I don't see any oohs and ahs. I don't know. Maybe this wasn't was it not a good story? I don't know. Anyway, that's my Puff story. If you guys want to hear the Kanye story, just let me know, and we can run through that one too. Okay. All right. Thanks. Jesus loves you. I see, like, I see the people watching, but, like, I thought you guys would have more comments and stuff, but I guess not. Anyway, so the Diddy trial. So now Diddy is on trial again, but this time it does not look like he is getting off. It looks like he's going to jail. In fact, the jury came back today, like you heard on the 5, with a partial verdict. Paul says, makes sense to me. Tell it, Keisha. We were listening carefully. Cool. Excuse me. He doesn't look like he's getting off. And these charges carry, I think the minimum charge carries 20 years. So Diddy is done. He's cooked. So they came back with a partial verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and possibly 5. So the only one that they couldn't decide on is the RICO charge. Now, everybody knows that this is the charge that has been difficult for people to kind of understand, because when you think of RICO, you think of, like, mob bosses and you think you have a certain picture in your mind when you hear these things. And this case is not that. But from the looks of it, it still looks like it's racketeering. So I don't know if you guys have been watching, but because, I grew up around this, I wanted to be a singer. I don't know, like, people around him now, but just people in the industry. I still keep in contact with some of them. Oh, exactly, Lady B. If R. Kelly can do time, so can Diddy. Yes, absolutely. If y'all have been paying attention, the details of his life is disgusting. Like, this man he has problems. Like, I think he definitely has clearly some childhood trauma. I have my theories on where he got all this freak off stuff from. I honestly think it comes from his from what was going on with his mom. I think she was probably like some type of a madam, and I think he used to watch. Um, I don't know. This is my theory. This is Keisha King Benton's theory. This is nobody else. So just my wheels turning because his mom was a freak. They were literally sitting up there together with their IV drips, probably after a freak off, talking about how his mom can like bend down and touch her toes. And I don't know anybody who talks about their mother that way, but it was quite disturbing. But let's go through the highlights of the trial. So on May 5th, the jury selection began in Manhattan Federal Court. You know, he's in the New York, um, that what is it, the second district, that district where Harvey Weinstein was tried there. I don't know if R. Kelly was tried there. I feel like R. Kelly was tried there too, but anyway, R. Kelly might have been tried in Chicago, but this district tries all these cases. And get this, Maureen Comey, James Comey, the former FBI director, James Comey, his daughter is the lead prosecutor. And homegirl is really good. And then I was like, oh, so I started looking up, James Comey. James Comey, he comes from money, darling. I did not know. I didn't realize that he was so well off. But yeah, so she grew up, they're a very privileged family. And, I have no problems with that. Just don't be doing all the craziness with the FBI, James Comey. But anyway, so his daughter is the lead on the case. And so May 5th, jury selection began. May 12th to June 24th. They have been they've been trying this case for over 6 weeks. Prosecutors presented evidence for sex trafficking, racketeering. And let's see, key witnesses include ex-girlfriends. Y'all know Cassie Ventura and Jane Doe, who everybody pretty much says the internet is reporting. 50 Cent kind of is saying that this is his baby mother. So it looks like that's his baby mama. But I don't know. So they all gave like really graphic testimony. I'm talking about like Cassie was 8 months pregnant giving her testimony, and she's now had the baby. And she's now married and has 3 beautiful children. So she is moved on with her life and trying to put this stuff all behind her. But what he did to her in particular, because Jane Doe, if I'm just being honest, she was with it. She was going, as they say. She was with it, I think. I think she was with it until she realized. I mean, you could tell there were times she didn't want to do it. Let me just make that clear. He was giving her ecstasy. She threw up. He was like, "Oh, good." No, this is what he said, y'all. He was like, "Good. I'm glad you threw up. Hopefully that makes you feel better. Now get back in there and go ahead, go back in there on that freak off." This is Diddy. He just completely tortured Cassie. I mean, the poor girl, she met him when she was 19. He was in his 30s. It's like this powerful guy. And he just made her this is how I see it. He made these women his personal corn star girlfriends. That's what I think. And he would sit there and watch them perform. And the men had to perform, and they had to finish, if you know what I mean. They didn't get paid if he didn't finish. And see, Paul says, didn't they have recordings of these freak offs? Yes, but I hope these things like never make their way into the public, because Cassie's kids, she has children. She didn't want to testify. She just wanted this all be behind his yes, Jesus loves you, But this is what I think, though. I think Diddy secretly, or maybe not so secretly, because he made a lot of comments about big black you know what, and how he wanted, he was interested in seeing them, like he wanted to see them. um and he would be watching, the freak offs, and what make the guys like, listen, you gotta finish, because he and Cassie, or he and the other women, the other girlfriends, would go into the other room after they finished, and then the finishings, for lack of a, I know, y'all, I know this, we are a Christian show. I'm trying to be as diplomatic and as watching my words, but I want you guys to know about, I feel like I mean, this is a big deal, but he would take the finishings and they would play with them. Do you guys know, like, have y'all been, like, this is what he would do after the freak offs? Yeah. So Diddy has some serious mental and sexual problems. Okay. He is demented. I did not realize that Diddy was a junkie. He's a junkie. He's a drug addict. I did not realize. I mean, he would have a personal bag that they called it the Gucci bag or the Diddy bag, that he would carry with him with all his drugs. They found GHB and I think other kinds of drugs in Visine. Okay, they were in my opinion. Why would you have that? You're certainly not dropping that in your eye, but you definitely could squirt it into somebody's drink. I don't know. This is just my 2 cents, y'all. This is Keisha's theories. But it was just like, I've been hooked on this case. Like when I'm, at the end of the day and I'm just relaxing, I catch up on all the, because I was truly interested in this. And I, because you can't deny Diddy's talent, him being able to take old school, he was the remix king. He made old school music come alive again on these new beats. Like it was really truly something new and different and exciting in the music industry. It was a big deal. He was very, very good. He was an amazing producer. And we hear that he earned musically, he earned his to who he was. Now, all the other stuff, him not paying his people, him not being a good CEO, and obviously being a terrible person behind the scenes, that's a whole nother story. But musically, he was on it. And it's really sad that he got out of control. Like he just went so far. But anyway, so all of these people testified. We had some of the sex workers testified. There was this girl, Mia, testified. She said that she was one of his assistants, and she was staying at his house, but you couldn't lock the doors, and he just came in there one night and did things. So there's that, and she alleged some other things. And then there was also another girl, they called her Bana. And I mean, she said straight up, she was like, I was on a lot of drugs back then. She was like, I was really messed up. But Diddy had came over to Cassie's house, and this was one of Cassie's friends. And I forget exactly like why he beeline for her, but her testimony, she testified that he picked her up and dangled her over a railing, like in a high-rise building. So, I mean, terrifying, just a monster behind the scenes, allegedly. Let's see. So yesterday, so the prosecution called, all kind of, they had a psychologist that they called in because it was clear that they needed someone to explain why women would continue to stay with someone who was doing this to them. I mean, y'all, it was gruesome. And so they called all these witnesses, and I think they really they did their thing on, with the prosecution. That Maureen Comey, they had a very good case. And some of the times I was like, I don't even see how this is like, I don't see how this is helping. But then I, like, as they went on through the questioning, I would say, oh, I see what they're doing. Like, I see how they're wrapping this all together. Very, very well done, I must say. The prosecution, the defense, when the prosecution rests, they call 0 witnesses. 0. So all of this testimony. Now, Cassie testified that she was made to do freak-offs with urinary tract infections. She was made to do freak-offs with sores in her mouth. Now, she didn't say that they were like from a STD. She said that she had sores in her mouth from having so much oral sex, being forced to have so much oral sex. She was also urinated on and in her mouth. Now, I don't know any woman who asks, who legitimately wants to do, yes, Lady B, girl, this Diddy he's got it, he's not well. The stuff that he would desire to see, you ain't wrapped too tight. I don't understand that. Like, how does it turn you on to watch somebody? And then, they would be asking the sex workers and stuff, like, or the entertainment, we'll just call them that. They would be asking them, like, did you ever see Cassie like look like, or Jane Doe look like she didn't want it? They're like, no. But Cassie did testify, like, you had to make it look like you enjoyed it, because then they would go and watch the tapes back. So it was, they had to be performative, or you was going to get a beat down. You were going, especially with Cassie. If she didn't sneeze right, the girl is tiny. Puff is not a small man. I just couldn't even, and everybody's like, oh, well, she wanted it because she stayed. I can just about imagine that all the mind games that probably went on, for her to feel like she was just helpless and couldn't do anything. She literally saw him. She saw him, cozying up with, powerful people that were in law enforcement. So I could see how she was like, who am I going to tell? Who is going to believe me if I say anything? Let's see. Lady B says, Diddy has a demonic possession. I know that for sure. He has a very perverse spirit, for sure. For sure. And you know what? You know how everybody wants to get all like spiritual and stuff when you're in trouble. I've done it too. Let's keep it all the way real. Like, we all know we want to call on the Lord when we get in trouble. Hey, at least we know who to call on, okay? But so when his first day of trial, he brought in a Bible. And I'm like, I don't know. Okay, what does that mean? But then the next day he brought in a Quran. I'm like, oh yeah, you're not on your knees repenting. You're not. So let's see. Paul says, the devils, Kool-Aid, all of them are demons. Sorry, but I know women who fought to the death, then submit. It's true. What do you mean? So you don't have to be sorry for that. Like, that is true. Like, women, you just, I can't even imagine. It was probably just pure hell dealing with that. Lady B says, even still, men are naturally stronger than women too. Exactly. This dude, y'all remember the you know what? I didn't put that. That's not one of my clips, but I should have put that. We're gonna watch this really quick. Let's see. We let's take a look.
Disturbing new video appears to support some of the accusations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
We want to warn you that this video you're about to see is extremely graphic. The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave.
Wait a minute. Why did this pop up? Get off. Get off of there. Why did that pop up? I don't like that.
Disturbing new video appears to support some of the accusations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
We want to warn you that this video you're about to see is extremely graphic. The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her. So far, there's been no comment from Combs or his attorney.
Now, when he's dragging her back into a freak off. She was running out of a freak off. Like, that's why he was in the towel. He sits in the corner and just masturbates. That's what he does. That's what he does. Sick. Then that video goes on. He's like throwing this glass at her. I'm bringing this up because when the defense got up there, they had the nerve to say that their relationship was just a modern love story. That's what he said. He said it was a modern day fairy tale. That's what the defense case was. Their whole case was that, oh, these two were just lovebirds. This is just what they like to do. This is a money grab for Cassie. This is not, she was with it. She liked it. Now imagine saying this to people who have just heard that this woman was peed on, had to do all of this stuff with the sores and the UTIs, just extreme. She had so many UTIs that the antibiotics stopped working. Ain't no way. There's no way this was I mean, I don't care if she was saying okay with her mouth. There is no woman on the planet who is consenting for that. I'm sorry. No way. Just absolutely sick. But I want to play you guys what was on the 5 today because they have a bit more info.
The jury has reached a partial verdict in the Sean Diddy Combs federal sex trafficking trial. We're going to go live to CB Cotton outside the courthouse with more. And CB, you've been there from the beginning. And for those people who haven't been watching me, could you characterize what the trial has been about and what we are about to get from the verdict?
Hey, Dana, great to be with you. So this is another explosive moment in the courtroom during this 2-month-long trial. Jurors announcing this afternoon that they were unable to reach a unanimous decision on count 1, the most serious charge in this case, racketeering conspiracy. Jurors sent back a note just before 4:30 local time this afternoon to let the court know that they had reached a verdict on counts 2 through 5, but could not reach a unanimous decision on count 1. Again, the most serious charge in this case. Right now, the judge is talking with both sides about what to do next. He has told the courtroom he does not want to give a partial verdict. So now he's weighing 2 other options, which would be sending the jury back to continue deliberations or giving some version of an Allen charge, which would be, which in most cases would be instructing the jurors to go back and continue deliberations on the count that they can't reach a consensus on. So right now we're waiting to learn more from inside the courtroom. But I can tell you, when this note was sent back today, it's the 6th note between the 2 days of deliberations. Defense attorneys were very quickly huddled around Sean.
Now, they said that this is the 6th note. So the first note, like they had just been given their instructions and their verdict, all of that by the judge, and the all that. They had all the instructions on, how to look, how to look at things and what they can and can't, all the instructions. The first, like within, I think like 2 hours of them being deliberating, what the foreman comes out and says, juror 25 cannot, is not following your instructions, Your Honor. And so that was weird, because everybody's like, they just got back. They're like, how is he not following the instructions? So everybody was, trying to guess, like, what could this possibly be? One theory that I've heard that I think sounds like right. If someone comes in and says, I don't need to look at the evidence. I already know this person is guilty, or I already know this person is innocent. You can't do that. Like, even if you have to talk it out, because somebody's life is on the line. And thank God we live in the United States of America, where they really are pressing you to think about the case, to look at the facts, to only make a decision on the evidence that has been presented, and if it falls in line with the charges that they've laid out. They don't, I love that about America. And the judge, has been really fair. I think he's been trying to be as neutral, and just, I think he's been really fair. And but it's like, with something like this, it's hard. I think the man is going to jail for a very long time. Now, the RICO charge carries a life sentence, and I think, and the other charges aren't. So I think like the least one is like 20 years. So let me show you guys. Oh, let's finish watching this. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
On Diddy Combs inside the courtroom, and we saw that one defense attorney hugged another, and this is really a key moment in this trial. For over the course of 2 months, prosecutors have argued to jurors that Diddy, with an inner circle, created a sex crime ring to force and coerce women into drug-fueled sex parties called freak-offs with male escorts while he watched. They called a variety of witnesses, 34 to be exact, including Diddy's ex-girlfriends and accusers, former employees, and law enforcement investigators. And prosecutors say their testimony, along with bank, flight, hotel records, salacious texts, and videos, all prove Diddy is guilty of these charges. The defense, of course, takes a much different stance. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo, in his closing argument, told jurors this is an exaggerated case, and he repeatedly called it a false trial. He insisted that all the sexual encounters were consensual, and he painted these accusers as women who have agency. In fact, he said about ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, he described her as a woman who likes to have sex, and he said good for her. So you just right there, it paints the difference, the stark.
Like, what? I mean, I get that their strategy was like, we're gonna be as we can't run from it. I mean, the man he's on tape beating her, so we can't run from him being this monster. So all we can do is kind of smooth it over and try to make it seem like they all wanted it. But after you hear all that testimony, and then you have a man coming up there like, oh, this is just a modern day love story. Like, no big deal. I don't think that that's going to play well with the jury. I don't think that it's given what he thought it gave. I really don't. And word on the curb is that he tried that with another case. I forget with the Mark Agnifilo. I think it was either him or Brian. One of them was on the Young Thug case, and they tried that tactic with one of these other cases and it didn't work.
Difference between the arguments in this case. And right now, the latest that we're learning from inside the courtroom is that jurors are unable to reach a verdict on count one, racketeering conspiracy, the most serious charge. If Diddy were to be found guilty on that charge, he could spend the rest of his natural life behind bars. I'd say the next most serious charge in this case is sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Now, we don't know how jurors have decided on those charges of sex trafficking, but if he were to be found guilty on those charges, the next most serious, he could spend up to 15 years in prison, up to life in prison. So 15 years to life in prison. And then the last charge is transportation to engage in prostitution. We also know jurors reached a unanimous consensus on that charge. We have seen a lot of action here outside the courtroom, a lot of activity, supporters of Diddy, others who want to see him behind bars for the rest of their life. They're all gathering here outside the courtroom right now, waiting to find out what the judge decides to do next. Dana, I'll send it back over to you.
All right, CB Cotton, just stand by there. We have Harold Ford Jr., Rosanna Scotto, Joey Jones, Greg Gutfeld, and myself, Dana Perino. So Harold Ford Jr., it's great to have you around the table. So we have breaking news. So we're going to wait to find out what is happening here. What is your take on the fact that they said no on count one racket?
So, hold on. Sorry, y'all, my husband's knocking. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Gosh, I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? I forget. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. Anyway, I'll just play this until I remember.
I have not, admittedly, not followed the case very closely. I've seen read some of the headlines. I'm going to be as interested as anyone to see what this judge does. I mean, I read it where the first count was the most important. CB certainly reinforced.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I wanted to run down the charges with you guys so you can see what they are and all that. So remove. Okay. All right. So the count one is racketeering conspiracy. In the first count, Diddy is indicted on racketeering charges involving threats and coercion to, quote, fulfill his sexual desires. Prosecutors claim Diddy led a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Now, I definitely believe that the prosecution proved that. So when they were started to wrap up the case, they got rid of the attempted to engage in sex trafficking and any attempt, like attempted forced labor, attempted kidnapping. They just got rid of all the attempted stuff and just did straight to the engage in sex trafficking, forced labor. So I don't know if you guys heard a couple days ago that like there was all this stuff about them dropping the charges, but it really wasn't them dropping the charges. It was them dropping the alleged or attempted charges. Paul says, I'll be surprised if they can get him on racketeering. That's the one that everybody says is like super hard to prove. Because you have to have two predicate crimes. So any one of these, like the sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction, like all they need is 2. And here's the thing, because I'm like, well, they also have him, like count 2, as we can see right here, sex trafficking by force. So it's like, if you can convict him of sex trafficking and the prostitution, then how come you can't convict him for the RICO? Let me see what Mrs. Graves. Hey, Miss Graves says, not just the weakness of them doing it. What is weak within society is we equate wealth and power with, quote, being a good person to be good. We contribute to without discernment. That's true. That is so true, because he could not have gotten away with this stuff if people didn't look up to him like that. Like, he would not have been able to get away with this if we, as John Q. Public was more, if we had more standards, honestly, if we had more people to say, yeah, I'm really not gonna go and set up a hotel night for you, because this is what he would do. He would have his assistants and stuff, and the chief of staff, which is KK, they called her Christina Quorum, which people were like, why isn't she a co-conspirator? Which is another reason why the RICO is confusing to people, because typically when you're in charge of RICO, there's multiple people sitting at the defense, multiple defendants, but it's only Puff, and it's not, and nobody else has been. She was named as a co-conspirator, but she wasn't brought into anyway. That was confusing. But he would have them set up the rooms. He would have them go and get the baby oil and the astro. Like, y'all, the man was obsessed with the baby oil. Like, I'm like, who uses? And when I first heard, I was like, I really think it was like drugs, and because why would you have so much? Why would you have some, like, what? But he was obsessed, and he would tell them, like, I want y'all glistening, like he would tell the girl, like Cassie and the worker, I want you guys to be glistening. And, yeah. Anyway, the man's obsessed with baby oil. So that's count 1. Count 2, sex trafficking. The second count of the federal indictment details a trafficking incident with victim 1, whom they allege Diddy knowingly recruited, enticed, and transported for commercial sex acts. They claim Diddy's actions impacted interstate and foreign commerce through reckless threats of force, which is true, because he would fly these entertainers if he was, out of the country. I think 1 or 2 were flued out, and then he also just, like in the continental USA, like he would, I'm in New York, so flying them over from LA or something like that. Like, there was multiple times where they did that, where Diddy is even talking to, because there was a company that he hired. It was called Cowboys and Angels, that he hired to where he got his entertainers from. And he would they had overcharged him one time. And so he's on record, I think it was a either an email or text message, where he's like, I've been a loyal customer. Why'd you guys charge me this extra $600? And the lady's like, Puff's like, he didn't even finish, because that was a requirement. He had to finish. And apparently, I mean, the entertainers on the stand were like, it was very hard to finish when somebody's in the corner watching you, because that's not how we normally do our business. Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But y'all might be like, why are we talking about this? I think it's important to talk about these things so y'all can know what is going on. Not that we already, we have ideas, but this is what these people are like. You have so much power, you have so much money, and you think you are above reproach. You think you've bought off everybody that there is to buy off. You think that, you can't be touched. And that is a trick of the enemy. That's how he keeps you going. That's how he keeps you going, because you think the more money you get, the more people you pay off, just like the hotel video where he's beating Cassie. They have the security guards. They testified that Diddy literally had a money counter. He told them to meet them in this building, like legit mafia stuff. Meet them in this building. They had the money counter on the table. They put $100 grand in the money counter. They push it through, put the money in a brown bag, and sends him on this way. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like bribery to me. So I think the prosecution totally proved all the points that they needed. Now, if the jury can put this all together, if they understand this, right, as far as the RICO is concerned, then I think they met their burden of proof. But that's just my opinion. As count 3, Diddy transportation to engage in prostitution. In the third count of the indictment, Diddy is accused of knowingly transporting a victim across state lines with the intent to engage them in prostitution. They proved that. Prosecutors also allege that he attempted and willfully transported female victims and sex workers for this purpose on multiple occasions. They proved that. So if you're just coming in, they have a partial verdict today, the jury, count 2. And we can see why that was easy. Like why that was easy. Count 2, sex trafficking. Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution. Let's see. Bless you. Well, let me go back to this one because I don't know why all the counts aren't on here. But anyway, I think there's 2 other charges too. But anyway, so he's convicted. I'm sorry, there's like 4 charges, but 4 or 5 charges. But anyway, it's a mess. Like Diddy is truly, he's a sick person. Paul says he's been doing this for years and many people were involved and happy to be in on it. I mean, the drug dealer that they got, his drug man, he was like, yeah, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And it's like, you're getting pink cocaine. Like, don't nobody have pink cocaine. Just that's like a specialty. Okay. And he calls you. But anyway, so let's see. Anything else I wanted to tell you guys? They're going to resume the deliberations tomorrow. And I think they're going to try to be out of there before July 4th. Because, I mean, who wants to be deliberating July 3rd? And so the defense did actually try to have to push it to next Monday, and the judge was like, no sir, we're not doing that. I think the judge is about done with Diddy's defense team because they're doing the best that they can do with what they got to work with. You can't fault them for trying to do what they're being paid to do. He has a right to that, to do that, to defend himself. So yeah, y'all, I think Diddy is going down, and I think probably the world will be a better place. And I hope that all of the other people that's doing this, because I am sure there are others who are doing the same thing. He's just the one that got caught. So I hope they get the memo that it is illegal to be doing all of this stuff, and that they stop, and that these women can, get healing and do all that. And prayerfully, women, stop, get some value for yourself. Like when somebody is, you don't have all of that's just because they're rich and all of this stuff. That stuff comes at a cost, a heavy cost. So you might want to be careful of, looking at somebody's pockets and thinking that, everything is sweet on the other side because they're rich. Like Miss Graves said, people look up to all these people because they just happen to have money. Yeah, check out these people behind the scenes. But we have wins, though. We have wins with SCOTUS. We've got a few. Let's check out Megyn Kelly. Oops, wrong one. Sorry.
Start with you as the conservative, Will. What a day.
Yeah. On the nationwide injunction front, you're right. This basically ends the practice of nationwide injunctions in the absence of a class action lawsuit. And that's a really, really good thing because it's very hard to get a class action certified. And if you do, then if the government wins, there can't be any more suits on the topic. So it's a huge W in terms of stopping the lawfare against the administration. And on the case that you're talking about, Mahmoud v. Taylor, that's another huge win. And it's funny, I was just thinking to myself, listening to you, in a sensible society, we wouldn't be discussing whether or not parents had the right to opt out of this instruction. We would be discussing whether the people proffering this instruction should be criminally prosecuted.
Yes.
It's appalling that this is even happening.
How crazy is that the Trump administration is having to fight to do his job? It's crazy. It is so crazy. But we are winning in the Supreme Court. So we won. When I say we, I'm talking about those of us who are for parental rights, because we had the case where, oh God, I think it was Montgomery. Was it Virginia? There was a case where they were literally trying to make parents make their kids attend their sex classes, no matter the age, they wanted them to get this hypersexual content. They were trying to make it so parents did not have, I don't even understand how this got to the Supreme Court, that parents would not have a right to, all they wanted to do was opt out. They just wanted to opt their kids out when they were talking about, this is explicit content. And the Judge Kagan, Ketanji Brown Jack, all the liberal justices were like, yeah, this sounds good. Let's keep the parents out. Let's keep them out. But anyway, smarter heads prevailed.
And so maybe we'll get there eventually. And an interesting Supreme Court case would whether those people might have a First Amendment defense to criminal prosecution as a result of trying to indoctrinate our children in this way.
Before I go to Dave, do you think this will be the first step in expanding the ruling eventually to just parents? Parents have a right to pull their child. You don't have to necessarily, like, what about free speech or ideological grounds? Does it always have to be based on religion? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Because in a sense, it's its own kind of religious doctrine, just not in the form of a religion, right? It's a kind of,
yes.
All these claims that they're making are these bizarre metaphysical claims about the nature of man and woman that have no scientific grounding. They're just as, essentially, they're bizarre metaphysical claims, honestly, that are religious in nature, except that there's no deity involved.
It's just so huge on a couple of fronts. What do you make of that claim, Dave, that back on the injunctions case, that this really has been resistance 2.0 and it was dealt a major blow today?
It's interesting, Megyn, and thanks for having me back. Good to be with Will. He's like the mild-mannered Mike Davis. And he really is, though.
Totally.
I try to remind my Democratic friends on my side of the aisle that Democrats hated nationwide injunctions as well. Remember when mifepristone, the abortion drug, was banned nationwide because one conservative judge in Texas, who was picked for that reason, issued a nationwide injunction, and people on the left were outraged by it. So This cuts both ways. It's just that this is being done during the Trump presidency. And there is a way out. You can try to get a class action, or you can try to convince the judge that a nationwide injunction.
To get your book reference in to any hit about it. And if it's smart marketing, and I support the book and you, so good on you. Can we talk, Will, about the fight between Amy Coney Barrett and Ketanji Brown Jackson who dissented, Ketanji Brown Jackson, in the nationwide injunctions case? I thought it was smart that they had Coney Barrett write the majority opinion. She hasn't written that many. She's becoming kind of, well, loathed by many on the right for siding with the libs. And I think.
How do y'all feel? Like, I feel like Amy Coney Barrett has not been good in some instances. I can't even remember which one she recently was a disappointment on, but on this one with the birthright citizenship, oh, I'm so grateful she was on point this time. But do you guys find her to be wishy-washy? I think she's spending too much time with Ketanji Brown Jackson. Like, girl, don't hang out. That liberal stuff is gonna rub off on you, girl. Or maybe she was always liberal. Who knows these days?
I think it was probably no accident that Robert said, why don't you take this one and restore some of your good order, possibly with the right. And it wasn't just that she sided with the 6 conservatives to uphold Trump's right to do this, at least for now, to not be subjected to nationwide injunctions, but it's now pitted her against a very unpopular member of the Supreme Court with the right. And those two went at it. Amy Coney Barrett, in one instance, basically saying, your argument is too dumb for me to respond to. She says here, I'll read just part of it. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the thing to...
That was a read. And yes, Paul, also a win. Judge Jackson embraces judicial superiority when she thinks, but when the Constitution, she doesn't want the executive to have the superiority. Like she's basically flip-flopping. Let me play that one more time. That was
we will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You don't want the president to have superiority, but you're totally fine letting the Supreme Court, because you're there, be superior. Now let her not have been selected to, as a DEI hire. And that's what Joe Biden said. He said that he was definitely going to hire a Black woman for the Supreme Court. Those are his words, not mine. That's what he did. So she's a DEI hire. That is correct, because Joe Biden said she was going to be. And but if she wasn't on the court, I don't think she would have been, happy. She wouldn't want judicial superiority then. So this is just ideological. She's not really looking at the Constitution. She's a commie. She's a communist, and she's ruling through a communist lens.
I think the thing to keep in mind here is that's not just a concurring opinion where one judge is expressing their anger. Six justices signed on to an opinion that treats Justice Jackson's dissent as silly and infantile. And that's not a good sign for Justice Jackson's influence on the court more broadly. You have to think that the 6 conservative justices found her arguments not just wrong, but kind of offensive and silly in order to put prose like that in a majority opinion of the court. So I think it's really reflective of how little respect the conservative justices have for her legal reasoning.
Yeah, there was another line where they say the principal dissent focuses on conventional legal terrain like the Judiciary Act of 1789 in our cases on equity. Justice Jackson, however, chooses a startling line of attack that is tethered neither to those sources nor, frankly, to any doctrine whatsoever. And they go on. I mean, they just...
That is crazy. Her remarks, basically, it's like, where did you come up with this? Like there's no basis for anything that you're saying. There's no like, woman, are you in reality? But at the same time, they're asking this from a woman who doesn't know what a woman is. She literally, at her confirmation hearing, they asked her, what's her name from Tennessee? The little cute little blonde one, the older, I forget. But from Tennessee, what is her name? I can't remember. She's like, do you know what a woman is? Can you define? What? And Judge and Ketanji's like, what a woman? The lady said, I'm not a biologist. The woman, Blackburn, thank you, Marsha Blackburn. Ketanji never looked so confused in her life. Now, mind you, she's a woman. Her husband, I think it's an OBGYN or a pediatrician. Either way, I'm sure he knows what a woman is. She has 2 girls. And this woman said, I cannot tell you what a woman is because I'm not a biologist. To me, that would have been enough. If you don't know what a woman is, you certainly cannot be on the Supreme Court. But no, not Joe Biden's administration. She gets on the Supreme Court and then makes crazy statements about, birthright citizenship, about the Constitution. So crazy that all her colleagues are looking at her like, girl, are you in reality? Like, I don't even, like, you're talking about, there is no judicial precedent of what you're talking about. Like, we got over 200 years of law here, and nothing that you're saying makes any sense. But I feel like that is on par with Ketanji Brown Jackson. You're expecting a woman who doesn't know what a woman is to be a judge. She can't judge. She literally told you, I'm not qualified to make sound judgments because she doesn't know what a woman is. That's a basic sound judgment that you should be able to make. And she couldn't do it. So that should, why are you even expecting her to open her mouth and have words that come out that make sense? Like, my expectation for her would be extremely low at this point. Like, I would be surprised if she could write a sentence. You don't know what a woman is. I can't even have a conversation with you. Like, I could never take her seriously if I was one of her colleagues. Like, I couldn't. Paul says, ask her what a man is. Oh gosh. No, she wouldn't do that either. Ms. Graves says, it's like the word was meant to be followed as written, as inspired by God. The law, Constitution is the same. Now, Ms. Graves, now you know good and doggone well Ketanji Brown Jackson is not able to follow what you just said. She don't understand that. She does not understand that. This woman has been so indoctrinated. Her braids is too tight, okay? She done been so indoctrinated. She can't think anymore. All she knows how to do is look to the government from which cometh her help. Her help. She don't know how to interpret no Bible or Constitution. She don't know what a woman is. If you don't, y'all quit. Like, I'm serious. If she is, we are dealing with somebody who is fully and totally brainwashed. She is in a cult. She does not think for herself. She can't. It is impossible. So I really, I'm surprised that she writes sentences and actually can write this. Maybe she gets Chat GPT to write it for her. Maybe that's what she do. Hey, Broski Bear. Let's see. So, this on June 27th, the Supreme Court issued a 6-3 ruling in the Trump v. Casa Inc. case, which limited the lower court. So this was all about this particular one. So we had the ruling for the inappropriate stuff in schools. We had the sports ruling that we won that one too. And then now we have this one, immigration, birthright citizenship. So, which, all of these lower courts were putting through these injunctions. Y'all bear with me. We're getting through it. We're almost done. We're putting through these injunctions to stop Trump from getting these illegals up out of our country. So y'all, we've talked about this. Y'all know we do not play. If y'all don't know, us over here on the Keisha King show, we don't play about immigrants. We don't like illegals. We want our country. Okay. We're not with all that. So if you're new here, that's what we do over here. We've talked about this in the past. But these lower courts were issuing these injunctions and stopping Trump from getting the illegals out there. Y'all have heard all about it. So this move stops them to be able to do that. It says it's a move that indirectly impacts President Trump's executive effort to revoke birthright citizenship. That's what they were doing. So the majority opinion Amy Coney Barrett authored the majority opinion rejecting universal relief from courts, insisting injunctions must only address the specific parties before them, meaning you can't have like these broad just injunctions. Oh, like we need the actual person or, the people that are harmed by this to be before us so we can actually try this case on individual ways. They don't want these broad sweeping injunctions. So she also criticized Justice Jackson's dissent as extreme and accusing her of promoting an imperial judiciary while ignoring centuries of precedent, which is true. So Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was joined in dissent by Sotomayor and Kagan, obviously. And they argued that the ruling weakens constitutional rights. Now, she said, especially the 14th Amendment guarantee of birthright citizenship. Now, I know she ain't wrapped to that. Her brain is like her ability to think, that's gone. Like that probably was lost second year at Harvard. It is gone. It's been gone a long time ago. But I don't know if she understands that the Constitution was written for Americans. So how does not getting people who are not supposed to be here, how does getting them out weaken the Constitution? Like, you're going to have to help me. See, it don't make no sense. Braids too tight. She ain't there. She also warned that limiting injunctions allows the executive branch to dodge accountability and could leave U.S.-born children stateless. She formally stated, this is a quote, "For that to actually happen, courts must have the power to order everyone, including the executive, to follow the law, full stop." Which is what Trump is doing. This is why, people are outraged by this, because everybody knows he's following the law. It's actually Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sotomayor, and Kagan who are pushing for them to not follow the law, because the whole reason why this is such a big deal, this particular case, is it stops this anchor babies where you can just come over here. You don't want to assimilate. You just want to drop your baby here so you can hang on to their citizenship. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. Even if you have a baby over here now, and you not, let's say you've been here for 3 months and you have a baby, you still got to go when that visa or your however you came over here, when that's expired, you got to go back. Katanji, I don't know what a woman is. Brown Jack. Exactly. Broski. Oh, Broski, you missed it. We already talked about her being a DEI hire, but I'm glad you concur. I love this though. I don't know what a woman is. Katanji, I don't know what a woman is. Brown Jack, that's funny. But so yeah, so let's see. Sotomayor echoed Jackson's concerns, calling the decision an abdication that endangers rule of law and could ripple into future rights like gun ownership and religious freedom. I think they were just like, let me see. I know these conservatives, they be talking about that gun rights stuff and they're kind of religious. Let me see if I can just pull some stuff. What the freak does this have to do with the price of cheese in China? What does gun right, like what? How is it even? It's like, how is it even similar? Like, I'm not seeing it. President Trump hailed the decision as a monumental victory and vowed to revive his executive order curbing birthright citizenship. And of course, advocacy groups like CASA and the ACLU quickly mobilized, preparing to file class action lawsuits to continue protecting, it says citizens' rights, but non-citizens' rights. Oh gosh. So we're winning. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but I think, you know, we're coming along here in these 7 months, you know. So I think Trump is doing a really a great job. I think he's doing, y'all know I supported DeSantis in the primary, and Trump is doing much better than I expected. I like his focus. I like his unmoving, like, this is what I want to do. He seems very steadfast and flat-footed on what he wants to do, and he's not being moved. Now, here's one thing. I might not agree with everything that, I mean, so far, everything I know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm like, ooh, not so cool with that. But there was one thing when the whole like free speech thing was about with all the Palestinian stuff in the schools, I was a little concerned with free speech, but none of that actually, I don't think it was what I thought it was in the first place, and none of it came to be, there was no bills or anything like that. But oh yes, alligator Alcatraz. Yes, I do love that. So DeSantis and Trump they have now made up officially, publicly. I think they had been made up, but because they've been working together on the immigration stuff for quite some time, or it's certainly for these last 7 months, because DeSantis is like, we're going to help him, and we are, you know, we're going to do everything we can to help get these people up out of here. And so opened up alligator Alcatraz, and I think it holds like 3,000 people, and it has a runway. DeSantis is like, yep, we can get that plane. You know, we can we can have like an assembly line. We can really get this thing rocking. I'm like, I think the two of them together, so good. DeSantis is one of the best I've seen on the Constitution. Like, the dude is smart. And so I think this is really good. You know, does that mean that we lay down now? No, it doesn't. It means that we keep our foot on their proverbial neck. You know, we still have to pay attention to who we're voting for in these local elections, in the state elections as well, because a lot of times people get in on the local level, school board. This is the track typically. People usually get in locally, city council or school board, then they go to the state and they run for state house, then they go to the state senate, and then they're going to Congress. You know, they're going, and then they stay there forever. So we need to be watching who we're voting for on the local level, because that's where a lot of this stuff is. If you're not involved with your REC, your Republican Executive Committee, you should be involved in that, because that's, now, our RECs are behind, but that's where the grassroots stuff is supposed to happen. But the more of us that are the kind of like grassroots, we want real change. We don't want these establishment characters. That's where you can start to see the candidates locally at your RECs. So if you aren't doing that, you need to be involved. Let's see. Oh, if you guys want to support the channel, please do. You can get Cash App or Super Chat or Super Stickers. Please support the channel. Let's see, we compete with the Megyn Kellys, and we compete with the Megyn Kellys of the world, the Joe Rogan. We compete with everybody. So, please support. Because it means a lot. It does take a lot to do these videos and stuff. And yeah, especially now, your girl is going through. Let's see. Broski Bear says, UPenn has agreed to ban transgender women for participating on its women's sports team and remove the records of Leah Thomas. Praise God. That is amazing. Things are starting to turn in the right direction. Yes, thank you. 5,000 bucks? Send it over. Oh, 5,000 people. Oh, okay. I thought I read 3. Cool. So 5,000 people from Alligator Alcatraz. Could you imagine? Y'all, I don't know. I'm just like, I really want to go. I can always tell when I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be funny. But I can always tell illegals in the grocery store. I don't know what it is about the limes, the tomatoes. Y'all know if you go into Walmart, like they have thank you, Broski Bear. Appreciate it. 5,000. I think, hey, you're typing it. It gets hard, 96 to life. We get it. I knew what he was trying to say, though. I know my people. But when I go to the grocery store, well, in Walmart in particular, they have like the guacamole ingredients right there. You got the limes, onions, tomato. It's typically, all right there. Every time, not every time I go, but a lot of times I go and I see the lady, this typically the woman. I wish I had a and she has a bag. It's a regular bag, y'all. No, this is not kind of that yet. Sorry. This is all I got, my purse right here. And they're like hovering over I'm trying to see if I can use something. They're hovering over the limes and they're putting it in their bag, like they're gonna run out. And they have this look on their face like they're putting him in there, like somebody's gonna get me. And I'm like, you don't live here. You don't belong here. Because limes, this is how we do. And I mean, I use limes, lemons, but the way that they use these limes is, I'm like, what are y'all doing with the limes? What are you making with the lime? Like, I'm telling you, like, they be in there hovered. Oh, has anybody ever seen this? Is it just me? They be in there with just the tomatoes, the limes, just going crazy. I'm like, you don't live here. You are not supposed to be there. And sure enough, you walk by and you hear them, hola, they're speaking their language. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Limes and cilantro. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's weird. Thank you, Broski Bear, for the $10 super sticker. I really appreciate it. I really do. Let's see. Paul says, I am in NYC. It's hard here. They want the socialist Zohan. Oh, I have a great video coming out on Zohan Mandane. I don't know why I say his name like that, but I don't know. What part of New York do you live in? I have so many. I haven't been to New York in like 2 years now, but what part are you living in? So do you live in the city, or do you live would you be able to vote for or vote against Zorhan? So let me know, Paul. I am so curious. Broski Bear says it all starts at the local level. Please get out and vote during your local elections. Yes, please. Even when it's like these like little what do you call it? Like special election, because people slip in like that too. A special election? Oh, they go to scrambling. And even on the Republican side, you've got to vet these people, because some of them think they're being smart. They're actually Democrats, but they register as Republicans because in the city or town that you might live in, they know that they can win as a Republican. You vote them in, everything sounds all nice and good, but then when they get up there, they start voting with the left. That happens in my city. Y'all do not want that. The Goya beans. I never seen him go crazy with the Goya beans. Let's see. Oh, you're in Manhattan, so you will be voting against him, I hope. Hey, Reese from Philly. It is a lot of Muslims. You feeling all right today? No, Miss Graves. No. Can you tell? Is it obvious? I'm trying to keep my energy up, but no, I'm not feeling that great today. That heavy, that my mood is just it's not the best. But don't make me cry. Oh God. I'm not gonna cry. Okay. They have ranked crap. Y'all, I can't wait for this to be over. Oh my God, if I keep talking about it, I'm gonna cry some more. Okay, I'm not talking. Do those, wait, what does this mean? They have ranked based voting. It should be illegal. What does that mean? Ranked based voting? I don't know what that means. Ranked based, I don't know what that means. Let's see. Do Muslims blast their prayers? Oh, that's another thing I heard that they're starting to do now. I think they're doing it in Chicago too, I want to say. They're blasting the speakers with the Muslim prayers in America. I don't want to hear that. Like, do that on your own time. That's not what we do here. I feel like there should have been some kind of clause like in the Constitution, like, listen, we have a right, like, we accept all religions, but we have a right to preserve ours. Like, I don't know. This is out of control. Philly is almost completely Muslim? No. They had a Times Square Muslim prayer session blasting all that Allah. Oh my. That's so crazy. Gosh. Blocking off streets to pray. Miss Graves says, no, you look amazing. I thought it was maybe a good day. No, not today. I've been good. Like since like the 2 weeks ago thing when I had the real like crash out. I've been fine since then. But like yesterday, I felt a little something funny. And I was like, honey, like pray for me because something feels a little funky. And she says, I'm sorry, love, it will end. I promise. Yes, I know. Thank you so much. I'm not really sad though, so don't mind the tears because I'm not sad. It's just it makes me feel sad, but I have no reason to be sad. Like I'm fine, but it just makes me emotional, and after a while, it's like this depression. It just comes over me, and I am not like y'all. I am I am an optimistic person. Like I am not this oh, I'm not Eeyore. I'm not like I am always a glass half full. I am, Miss Cheerleader, pep rally girl. I've just never been like this. But anyway, let's see. You get to vote for 5 so this is the ranked voting. You get to vote for 5 representatives, and then they give the lowest number. Wait, Paul, you say that one more time for me, please. Let's see. They've been doing it in towns in Michigan and Minnesota for years now. Dearborn, Michigan was the first time. Now that I'm not surprised, because y'all know our good friend Chuck Littleton lives in Dearborn, and he tells us all the time, like he said they're nice to live around. He hasn't had any problems with them, but yes, they are very much so. They have taken over Michigan, or at least Dearborn. Miss Grace says, oh no. If we blasted Christian worship music on loudspeakers, they'd lose their mind. You know they would. They would have a complete and total fit. All the liberals would come out. The teachers' unions would probably be out there too. First, it's on the loudspeakers, and then it's going to be in the classrooms. We can't have this. Y'all know they would be having a full-on fit. Miss Graves says the Islamic takeover has been planned and implemented for 25 years. That's crazy. Crazy. This is unacceptable. I hope and pray that Zoran guy, I hope he loses. I don't know what we got to do, but we need to keep talking about this. Prayerfully, New Yorkers will see this is not the move. The man wants to have government-owned grocery stores. You're going to be in there. You're going to have one pick of lettuce, okay? You're not going to get to have your iceberg and your romaine and your spring mix. No. It's going to be iceberg all day long. You're going to have one pick of lettuce, one type of tomato. Remember, because they don't believe in, like, you can't have variety. Remember, Bernie Sanders was like, you don't need a variety of deodorant. What's wrong with just one? So if you got sensitive skin, sorry. If this brand, it's going to be one. It's probably going to be filled with aluminum. It's going to be the cheap stuff. Filled with aluminum, barely works, bottom. It's not going to be what you used to. So Paul says, in other words, they pass the votes up to the next highest person with more votes. Oh, okay. So we do it, what do they call it? Unitarian, unilateral. Yeah, I think it's I don't know, uni something. And so basically, whoever gets 50% or more of the vote, they win in the primary. I think in the primary. Yeah, in the primary. And but you guys in New York, so let's say you have 5 candidates, and you got one has 40, one has 30, one has 20, and one has 10. They would take the 10, give it to the 20, and then take that 30 and again give it to the next person, and then take that total and then give it to the next person. That is so. Why don't they just take the person with the highest and just let them? Anyway, I don't understand that. Let's see. Oh, Paul says most people didn't vote in the primaries. Hopefully people are going to come out and vote against the commie. I pray so. And Miss Graves says, Miss Graves says that's how California is too. Oh, with the ranked voting. I did not know that. And see, I don't think a lot of people be knowing how their cities and it work. Because how do you know this stuff? And then I don't know. Broski Bear says, blast the Lord's Prayer and pray in prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Broski, are you a Catholic? I'm not Catholic. He said, not the iceberg. Yeah, you know, like iceberg is for tacos, you know, not for a salad. All right, you guys, you're a Catholic. Okay, cool. All right, you guys, thank you so much for sticking in with me, y'all. I was telling my husband, I was like, I just hope I don't cry. But I mean, it wasn't like a full-on cry. I mean, nothing ran down. So I'm cool on that. That's good. Y'all are family anyway. So it's all good. But I thank you guys for sticking with me and hanging out with me on a Tuesday. I know yesterday I was so behind. I hadn't cooked dinner. I needed to go and get my family together. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. I got a great video that's coming out on Zohran Mamdani. I don't know why I'd like to say his name like that, but I do. And it's bad. It's real bad. His parents, oh, you just wait, because y'all know I've been snooping and digging, because when the commies come around, they're always connected. It's always a connection. They don't move alone. Oh, gosh. But thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you on Monday, but look out for videos throughout the week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.